Good day. I am Abigail Stiglingh-Van Wyk, and I will be presenting my paper on a review of the Sustainable Development Goals beyond the post-COVID barriers in South Africa. I am from the Northwest University Institution in South Africa, from the trade entity, and my email address is abigail.stichling@nwu.ac.za for any questions or more information. Layout of this presentation will be as follows. There will be a brief introduction, a literature review, methodology, results and findings of the study, a conclusion, as well as a few recommendations, and supported by a list of bibliography. In 2015, global leaders agreed on 17 goals for a better society by 2030. South Africa adopted the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in 2015 and has integrated them into its national development plans, including the NDP 2030, to address economic, social, as well as any environmental challenges that we are facing. There's also key priorities with this leadership agreement. The country's focus includes addressing poverty, inequality, and unemployment, while also tackling pressing issues like climate change, sustainable energy, and our water security. The collaborative implementation of the SDGs. Achieving the SDGs involves partnerships among government, the private sector, civil society, and academic institutions to ensure an inclusive and sustainable development. Some of the progress and challenges that we faced so far. While South Africa has made strides in areas like education and health, it still faces challenges such as persistent inequality, high levels of unemployment, and the effect of climate changes, which obviously requires more intensified effort to meet the 2030 targets. Therefore, this study then aims to adopt a qualitative desktop review first as phase one in the post-COVID period, reviewing what South Africa's current rate of achievements are and what still needs to be done before the 2030 target, with just 6 years left to complete all set targets and their alignment with the NDP, known as the National Development Plan. The literature review will consist out of a theoretical framework aligned to the SDGs. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development emphasizes the interconnectedness of economic, social, as well as environmental objectives. Key theories underpinning the SDG goals include system theory, equity theory, ecological modernization theory, each contributing to the understanding and implementing the SDGs. Looking at the systems theory, this theory views society as an interconnected system where changes in one sector like education or health affects others. They also operate as a network of interdependent goals, for example, poverty reduction, which is part of the SDG 1, is an intrinsically linked to improved health outcomes, as well as education, which is the SDG 4. Systems thinking enables policymakers to identify synergies and trade-offs among SDGs, promoting a more holistic and efficient approach to sustainable development. In terms of our equity theory, this underpins and focuses on reducing inequalities, which is linked to the SDG 10, and also promoting gender inequality, which is linked to SDG 5. It emphasizes the fairness in resource distribution, opportunities, and outcomes, recognizing that systematic inequities hinder sustainable progress and development. This is especially relevant for addressing inequality and poverty in countries like South Africa, where historical injustices perpetrate socio-economic disparities that we are still currently facing. In terms of our ecological modernization theory, this posits that economic growth and environmental sustainability can coexist through technological innovation as well as institutional reform. This theory, however, also supports SDGs related to climate action, which is number 13, as well as sustainable industry, which is 9. In South Africa, transitioning from one coal reliance to renewable energy aligns with this theory, emphasizing green growth as a pathway of sustainability. Then, in terms of our human development theory, it's articulated by Amartya Sen, which underscores the importance of expanding individual capabilities for achieving sustainable development goals. The SDG also then reflects this emphasis with goals addressing education, health, social protection as central to improving individual and collective well-being. Then the resilience theory focuses on strengthening systems, ability to withstand and adapt to shocks such as climate change or economic crises. Also, something like COVID-19. The SDG 13, climate action, and the SDG 11, sustainable cities, reflect this theory by emphasizing disaster risk reduction and the adaptation strategies to build resilience in vulnerable communities. And in terms of the methodology, there will be 3 important phases that this study will follow. The study will start off by adopting a qualitative approach for this review, synthesizing secondary data from various sources, including academic literature, government reports, and international development organizations' assessments, reviewing what our current state is of achieving these goals, and also keeping in mind the time frame that we have left in achieving these set targets, also ensuring that they are aligned with the National Development Plan. Phase 2 will follow a thematic analysis. This method will be used to categorize the impacts of COVID-19 on the various different SDG targets in South Africa, allowing for a comparative analysis or a pre-pandemic and post-pandemic progress. Lastly, in phase 3, the study will also conduct key informant interviews with experts in economic development, healthcare, and sustainability to gather insights into the current status of SDGs and their recovery efforts. However, note that for this specific paper, the study will start off just with the qualitative approach, reviewing and synthesizing the secondary data that's already available. Research and results that was found during this desktop analysis of the qualitative data. Findings are as follows. With SDG 1, known as no poverty, we found that only 8 out of the 13 targets was achieved, with a percentage rate of 61.5% only achieved. Number 2, SDG 2, zero hunger. An alarming only 6 out of 14 targets were achieved, leaving us with a target achieve rate of only 42.9%. Good health and well-being had a target achievement of 19 out of 28, with a 67.9% achievement rate. SDG 4, quality education, has a rate of 69.2% achieved, meaning that we have achieved 9 out of 13 of the set targets. So in terms of our quality education, we can see that there's a lot of growth and development taking place. However, the matter of concern within this first 4 goals will be the zero hunger goal, which only achieved 42.9% from 2015 to 2024. Goal number 5, gender equality. They've achieved a target of 10 out of 15, with an achievement rate of 66.7. Remarkably, and something to notice, is that SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, achieved an excellent target of 12 out of 12, with target percentage achieved at 100%. And surely we can see these developments taking place daily as more rural and underdeveloped communities now have improved drinking water sources. There's now public taps available to them. Boreholes or tub wells has also been made available to them. Therefore, they don't have to walk far distance in order to gain or access water. Moving along to SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, which looks at the percentage of population with access to electricity. We've met an output of 4 out of 6 targets achieved here, and a rate of 66.7%. Decent work and economic growth is 12 out of 17 targets achieved, with a percentage rate of 58.3%. Reduced inequalities, which is a matter of great concern to us. We've only achieved 4 out of 14 targets set, with a certain rate of only 28.6% achieved in the last 9 years. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, achieved 7 out of 16 of the set targets, with a rate of 43.8%. Goal 12, responsible consumption and production. This is yet another alarming output that we need to put a lot more effort into in ensuring that this rate moves up. It's only standing at 15.4% currently, meaning that we've only reached a target of 2 out of 13. But that's not the worst case scenario. Our climate action, which is SDG 13, has only achieved 1 out of the 8 set targets, and target percentage achieved is only 12.5%. Life below water has only achieved 3 out of 11 of their set targets, with an actual percentage target achieved rate of 27.3%. And lately in South Africa, as observed, there's many sea life washing out on the beaches. So it tells us that this is a great matter of concern, whether the South African marine protected areas are actually protective, and if we are taking care of those exclusive economic zones as we ought to be. SDG 15, life on land, achieved 16 out of 14 of the set targets, with an achievement rate of 42.9%. SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, achieved a rate of 73.3%. 22 out of 30 of the targets has been met. And this can also be with the new crime prevention initiatives that's ongoing still, and the new wardens program that has been running all over South Africa. There's more visibility, there's more employment in terms of the youth. So this program is definitely beneficial to us as a country. SDG 17, partnerships for goals. This, we've only achieved 32%, and we've only met 8 out of 25 of our set targets. Looking at the average achievement between 2015 to 2024, I found that we've only achieved an overall target of 51.74%. So we are just above, slightly above the 50% target market. We still have a long way to go with 50% of the work that still needs to be done before or until 2030 for us to have reached the 2030 SDG plan. And furthermore, in terms of our discussions, according to Stats SA, the Sustainable Development Goals, their report in 2023 showed that the development in South Africa has been mixed. While the country has achieved progress in education, healthcare, water and sanitation, power, and gender equality, considerable obstacles still exist, particularly in addressing poverty and inequality, the no hunger, as well as our climate change, which was worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic. Some important SDG concerns facing South Africa also include the following. The first one being SDG 1, the no poverty goal. Despite social support programs, a sizable proportion of the population still lives in great poverty. SDG 5, gender equality. Despite a solid legal framework, violence against women still persists and are still increasing daily. SDG 10, reduced inequalities. Although efforts to reduce inequalities are ongoing, systematic disadvantages still persist within the country, which makes it very difficult for us to overcome these inequalities. Gender-based violence has been ongoing. Also, high levels of crime, high levels of robbery, and these incidents are reported on a daily basis. And we can see that it's quite difficult for us to adjust and combat the situation at hand. SDG 13, which is our climate action. South Africa is dealing with climate resilience and requires increased climate action, which looks at the number of national and local disasters risk reduction strategies adopted by South Africa. COVID-19 was definitely proof enough that we weren't ready for this. In addition to that, the floods that we've been facing also is a clear indication that we are not ready for these local disasters that's been attacking us. Then SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Governance issues is still remaining a great problem to us, particularly corruption, which jeopardizes the efforts to foster trust and justice within the system. And here's just a few of the recommendations to accelerate the progress toward achieving the SDG goals. South Africa must adopt a few multifaceted approach that addressing the systematic challenges, leverages its unique context, and fosters sustainable practices. Below are some of the targeted recommendations. The first one being strengthening governance and institutional capacities. We need to enhance efficiency, transparency, as well as the accountability of public institutions to ensure effective implementations of these SDG initiatives. Corruption as well as weak governance remain significant barriers to progress on goals such as the SG 16, and this is also streamlined institutions and are critical for resource allocations and program delivery. Number two will be prioritizing education and skill developments by increased investment in quality education and vocalization, as well as vocational training to prepare the workforce for future industries. Addressing SDG 4, quality and education, as well as SDG 8, decent work, requires equipping South Africans, especially the youth, with skills for digital and green economies. Accelerating renewable energy transitions to expand renewable energy projects and reduce dependency on coal through incentives in public and private partnerships. Promoting inclusive economic growth, foster small and medium-sized enterprises, and provide targeted support to marginalized groups to reduce poverty and inequality. Addressing food securities and sustainable agriculture, to develop climate-resilient agricultural practices and strengthen their food distribution systems to combat hunger. 6, enhancing water and sanitation structures, upgrade aging structures, and ensuring to promote water conservation technologies to ensure sustainable access to clean water. 7, fostering collaborative partnerships to strengthen collaborations between government, civil society, private sector, and the international partners to mobilize resources and expertise. Integrating gender and social equity in policies to strengthen initiatives to combat gender-based violence and to promote women's economic participation. 9, focusing on urban resilience, implement smart city solutions, and invest in sustainable housing projects to support SDG 11. Number 10, expanding monitoring and evaluation frameworks. Improve the data collection process and analysis to track SDG progress and identify areas needing urgent attention. Ensure that this data is reliable because it is essential for informed decision-making and effective resource allocation across goals. In conclusion, the theoretical frameworks like the systems theory and ecological modernization offer valuable perspectives for achieving SDGs. Their application in South Africa reveals the importance of integrated approaches that address the socio-economic as well as environmental challenges while fostering equity and resilience. Those targets that has achieved less than 50% should be placed as a priority to ensure that the goals will be attained by 2030. However, we should also be realistic as to what can be achieved with the remainder of the period before the 2030 deadline. For example, some of the SDG goals that has to be put under the microscope and be given immediate attention is as follows: the zero hunger, climate action, responsible consumption and production, partnership for goals, as well as the reduced inequalities, just to highlight a few. To achieve these SDG goals by 2030, South Africa must prioritize systematic reforms, innovative practices, and collaborative efforts. These recommendations, as mentioned in the previous two slides, offers pathways to addressing persistent challenges while fostering a sustainable and inclusive growth. Implementing them will require a committed, multi-stakeholder approach, as we all need to join hands in order to achieve these goals. It's impossible for just the government or just the private sector to take on these various responsibilities, and it's also our responsibilities as individuals to step in and make a difference. List of bibliography. Thank you. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to email me at abigail.stiglingh@nw.ac.za. Thank you for your time.